There is only one day in the church year that is of greater joy, of greater wonder, of greater moment than this, and it is Pascha. But why? The Lord goes to a river. He meets his cousin. He has a bath. Why is it such a big deal? We must ask this question because, in a sense, every other difficult question stems from this. Christians will argue, well, let us say it this way. Anyone who comes into the church, we welcome, we embrace, whether they are Greek or not. At least we should. But they cannot take communion unless, what do we say? They are a baptized and chrismated Orthodox Christian. But why do we baptize? You know, we know that this is important. We know that if one has not passed through the baptismal font and received the seal of chrism on the forehead, they cannot receive Holy Communion. They cannot be a part of the church. But why? Well, we say, because the Lord commanded us to baptize. And if he tells us to, then it's the thing we have to do. It's a good answer. It doesn't explain anything, but it's an answer. Right, Vasiliki? It's an answer, but it doesn't help. The Lord commanded us to be baptized because he was baptized. Okay. So we put it one further step back, but it still doesn't explain why. Much less does it explain why this day is central to our celebration of our very Christianity. What's the big deal? A man went to a river and had a bath. That's the story. It's not, and then there was a bird somewhere. If we speak of it in these terms, we must understand how weird this looks. We have people who come out in 0-degree weather on a Saturday when they could be staying home, lying in bed, watching cartoons or football. I don't know. But instead, we come here in this place to celebrate a man went to a river and had a bath and there was a bird. We must ask these questions. We must be able to understand it in simple terms, because this day is the fountain of our salvation. This simple action happened 1,000,000 times. Is different this time. Why? Well, first, because he's not just a man. He's God himself, who has taken upon himself human flesh, which is why we do it right after Christmas. Right, because Jesus was born in the cave before. He became a person. He became a human being. And then he grows up and he goes and he takes a bath in the river. No, so that's important. It matters because it's God, we can say. So that's what makes it different. It's God taking a bath. Do we think that's the only bath Jesus ever took? I don't quite think so. Because we know that he took on human flesh, the same as us. And this means if he didn't take a bath, there would be a smell. At least before the Anastasy. This is not impious. This is not disrespectful. This is necessary, that we understand the fullness, the completeness, the reality of the Lord's embrace of our brokenness. So is this perhaps the point? Jesus became a man. That's what's important, you're right. But why the bath then? Why do we celebrate this? Wouldn't Christmas be enough? He's born on that day. That's when he takes on flesh. Why baptism? I've asked the question enough times. Now I'll give the answer. In the Lord's baptism, he reveals himself to the world. Christmas happens in secret, as it were. And the Lord grows up, not publicly known to all. With his baptism, he begins his public ministry. He begins to preach. He begins to teach. He begins to heal. He begins to raise the dead. He begins to proclaim the kingdom of God is here. And the manner of the proclamation is one that shows what he comes to do. And this is important, because in being immersed in the waters, and this is also important technically, properly, ideally, when we baptize, we submerge the one being baptized completely. They are invisible. They are beneath the surface of the water. Now, sometimes for a child, that's difficult. Because what would you do if I tried to baptize you right now? I'll tell you what you'd do. You'd stick your feet out and say, I don't want to go into there. So it's a bit of a wrestling match. So if you ever see the priest doesn't submerge the child, it's okay. We're not legalists, but we remember the importance of the form. Properly, in a baptism, the one baptized is immersed. They disappear beneath the surface of the water. Because in the same way, in the Lord's incarnation, his divinity, his Godhead, disappears beneath the apparent surface of his humanity. That's important. It's not gone forever. He reveals it again in the Transfiguration. It even matters in our church. These two are opposite one another. Here we have divinity hidden. Here we have divinity revealed. The two must happen together. They're almost at opposite points of the calendar. In January, in August. In winter, when everything is hidden. In summer, when everything is revealed. More than this, in the Lord's baptism, he not only signifies the immersion of his divinity in his humanity, but he gives a sign of what he comes to accomplish. Because the baptism is a symbol, a type, an image of his burial, of his being immersed, if you will, beneath the surface of the earth for these 3 days before his resurrection. And these two symbols of the hiding of divinity in humanity and the burial of Christ before his resurrection are central. But above all, what happens after he's baptized? Does John stick him under there and he just sort of stays there and bubbles come up? He baptizes him and he brings him up again, because the divinity of the Lord is intended to be revealed on Transfiguration, on Pascha, and because when Christ is buried, does he stay buried? Vasiliki, I'm picking on you. Does he stay buried? Of course not. He rises from the dead. This is why the baptism is central, because it is a sign and token of everything that the Lord is and everything that the Lord does. And to bring it back to the question with which we started, it is the sign and token in which we participate. As many of you as have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ. In our baptism, our humanity is clothed in divinity. Our brokenness is made whole. Our sickness is made well. Our fall is restored. And that is why we rejoice today like on no other day except Pascha. That is why the waters that are blessed today become the source of sanctification for all of our homes and every day of the coming year. Why we take it and drink it and sprinkle it and bless our homes, our lives, our things, our cars, ourselves. Because from this point, outside, all the water is frozen, but within the church wells up a spring of living water to bless us and sanctify us, to give us hope, to give us joy today and every day of our lives. For God is with us. Today, the promise of Christmas is fulfilled and revealed, and the hope of the Anastasy is set before our eyes and our hearts, so that with joy, with fervor, with yearning, we progress from this beginning of the year through Lent, which is quickly approaching. It's not far away, to the joy of Pascha. So, to all of you, I say Chronia Pola, a blessed feast day. May we find the joy, the wonder of this day, a blessing to sustain us through the remainder of the year and every day of our lives. Please stand. We will continue the Divine Liturgy.